Yes, I am.
Fantastic. Thank you.
People are still hopping on. We're at 27 now.
Great. Okay, why don't we go ahead and get started? We want to be really respectful of everyone's time. We know it's lunch hour for many of you. Good afternoon. My name is Angel Lau, and I am the co-chair of the Nonprofit Outreach Committee for Impact 100 of Oakland County. Behind the scenes today, we also have my other co-chair, Pat Wagner and Courtney Gasper. Another panelist today is Linda Erickson. She is the co-chair for the Grant Review Committee for Impact 100 of Oakland County. We have our president, Catherine DeClaudio from Impact 100 of Oakland County, and we have Dr. Buford, Dr. Andrea Buford from Oakland University. Today, now that you know us, I wanted to... Oops.
Angel, you're frozen.
I can go ahead and while Angel's working on that, I'll take this over. So we're going to start with an introduction to Impact 100 Oakland County. I'm going to go ahead and take that one. And then we're going to talk about, and we are very excited to share how much we're giving away this year. And then we'll go through some grant criteria, eligibility, and the timeline. So that will give you a lot of information that I am thinking you're looking for. We'll talk about the grant application process, and our wonderful speaker will be sharing so much information with you. And we'll do a little we'll have some time at the end for some Q&A. So welcome. We are so excited to have all of you here and interested in learning more about Impact 100 Oakland County. I'm going to walk through the model. Thank you, Linda. So the model for Impact 100 is very simple. Our goal is to take 100 women who each donate $1,000, and then we would give away $100,000 to a local nonprofit. Oh, sorry, Linda, can we just run back there?
Sorry.
We were very excited that last year we had 300 women and we gave away 3 $100,000 grants. So if you click on the next slide, thank you so much. You can see that we have 5 focus areas. And we like to give grants in increments. It does say at least $100,000, but truly we get around this number. That's our goal. In a minute, what I'm talking about with that. But our 5 focus areas are arts and culture, education, family, health and wellness, and environment, recreation, and restoration. And this will kind of make more sense a little later on in our process. Thanks, Linda. So we were extremely excited to announce that for 2023, we had 328 members join us, and we will be giving away 4 grants of $82,000 each. And you can see here that nonprofits will develop a budget that will use all of that $82,000. Okay, Angel's currently trying to log back on, so I'm just gonna go ahead and keep going until she gets here. So our grant criteria and eligibility are listed here for you. You must be considered a public charity and have with it tax exempt status. You need to be in possession of 3 full years of independently prepared, audited, or reviewed financial statements. So that is kind of a change. So if you've been here before, we used to have a requirement for an audited financial, but now we are changing that to reviewed financial statements. And you need an operating budget of at least $250,000.
Next.
Actually, Linda, why don't we take a quick second and do our Q&A so we can see how many people know about Impact 100.
Okay, the poll. Yeah,
Yes, please. I'm sorry. I said Q&A. Sorry about that.
that's okay. Okay. Can you see it?
I can see it. So if everyone could please take a minute to fill that out, then we can take a look at our results.
So we have 47 participants, Catherine,
Okay.
and almost everybody has answered or is working on answering.
Okay, wonderful. This will give us a good idea of things to make sure to touch on during this call.
Okay, so 40 out of 45 have answered.
Okay.
And to the first question, it looks like, yes, I am familiar. 78% of the people who responded are familiar. 22%, this is their first time. And 39% have applied before, 61% have never applied before.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much, Linda.
Okay. Okay.
Next slide would be great when you're ready.
Okay. Working on it.
Thank
There
you.
Mhm.
Okay. So it is important to note that for applying for a grant, you need to apply with a project. So it is not being able to apply and we say pay for operating budget. This is a project, and you have to have not received a grant from us in the previous 3 years. There is a 3-year period for grant recipients to apply if they have already received. You can see that example there. If nonprofit X received in 2020, then they can't reapply until 2023. Linda, can you make sure that we didn't skip a slide really quickly? Yes, okay. So I was talking about projects and I wanted to make sure that we hit on this. So again, we will not be giving out grants to pay for operational budgets, that type of thing. It needs to be a project. It needs to predominantly serve residents in Oakland County. We need to have a measurable high impact, and we need to demonstrate a sustainable plan. And you can see the budget here. We'll talk about budget a little later. And it needs to be spent within 36 months. So that is important to note about the projects. And then we did talk, perfect. So these are the things that we will not be giving out grants for. I'm not going to read all of these to you, but you can see that, again, the project piece is very important. So we'd like to hit that home multiple times during this. All right, so here is our application timeline. So today our LOI will be live. So you can begin to apply and say that you have you are intending to apply to our application. And that closes on May 26th. And then you will receive an emailed invitation to apply. And you will have by June 7th, and you will have until June 30th to finish that. At that point, we take it over and we have our grant review committees, which are made up of volunteers, of members from our membership group. And they will come up with finalists and decide on site visits in August. You'll be notified of your status in September, and then our annual grant award ceremony is in early November. So that's when all of our membership gets back together, and we would listen to our 5 finalists, and everyone would then vote on that night of who should receive the grants. Our LOI and grant application are submitted online. It is important that your LOI is really a very simple form to fill out for us, going through the eligibility and you confirming that you are in fact eligible. But it's important that you have one primary contact, and that will be the contact that we use. So that's on the LOI. And then you will be asked to select the 3 most fitting categories for your project. And then we will let you know what bucket you end up in, but we ask that you choose your top 3 choices. Thank you, Linda. All right, so then we get into after the LOI, we get into the actual grant application. And for the organization information, again, we need the basic contact and leadership information. Make sure that that one contact is the person that will be working directly with us. You are able to collaborate with another organization if, for example, you are below a $250,000 operating budget. You can work with and collaborate with another organization. And then your background information, history and mission, and what you have and who you are serving currently. And then again, I'm going to keep hitting this home, but the project summary. So what is the project? Who will you be serving, and how will you be measuring it? A timeline, and how will it be sustainable? Linda, if you can just keep me honest on my timing, that would be
Okay.
wonderful.
Okay.
Okay, you will also be talking about your goals and how you plan to manage those. And then who will this project affect? And the financial information. So there is a template that we use on our application. I believe it's in Excel, and we need you to fill out your budget information within that exact template. That helps us compare all the applications in an apple-to-apple type of way. And then your 3 most recent IRS 990 forms, and an unaudited interim financial statement for the current year to date. And all of this information, of course, in the application, and you're welcome to come to us with any questions you might have, but this is the information we'll be asking for. All right, and then our annual grant award ceremony, which is one of our favorite nights of the year, is in early November. We will have 5 finalist organizations. And again, as I mentioned, the groups that will decide on these finalists are our volunteer members who go through the process and review all of these grant applications. So we will have the 5 finalist organizations give 7-minute presentations to all of our members. So this is really the first time that the members are hearing about all the projects. We come in fresh. Members vote at the event, and we do award the recipients at that same event. So you will know right away at that event who will receive an award. Next slide, Linda, please.
Hi, I'm back. Did you guys miss me? Let's try this. Let's try this again, shall we? Okay, let's review our grant review timeline. April 27th, we had our big announcement. On May 4th, today, our letter of intent opens. It is available online on our website, Impact100 of Oakland County.org. You have until June 7th to get that LOI into the system. On June 7th, we will send notification to all eligible nonprofits that are able to apply for our grant for the year. Those of you that are applying for our grant, you have until June 30th at midnight to get that grant application in through our online platform submittable located on our website. Towards the end of August, our grant review committees are busy at work, our 5 grant review committees. They will reach out to the finalists and let everyone know that they want to do a site visit. In September, the finalists are notified. And then in October, we do a Meet the Finalist event. And in November, we have our annual grant award ceremony where all of our members will show up. The nonprofits pitch their project and our members vote for the award recipients. Next slide, please. Again, for more information, you can always go to our grants tab located at Impact100 of Oakland County.org. At this time, I'd like to change gears and introduce Dr. Andrea Buford from Oakland University. She has many years of nonprofit experience, and now she's a professor at Oakland University, and she teaches students how to write grants. Thank you, Dr. Buford, so much for joining us today. If you all keep your questions, we'll take them right at the end through the Q&A tab. Take it over, Dr. Buford.
All righty, I will. Let's see if we can get the slides up. I'm just, maybe I could do some housekeeping while you're working on that. It's perfectly fine. Please call me Andrea. I'm more comfortable with that, honestly. So there's that. And if I look off to the side down again and I don't make eye contact with you, I know that's rude, but that's where my notes are. So that's what I'm doing when I'm doing that. So just so you know, I'm a little nervous. I have 15 minutes to teach you how to write grants, and I'm fully aware that I can't learn a new grocery store in 15 minutes. So I don't think this is going to be interesting. So, all right, how are we doing? I don't see my slides.
I'm very sorry. I'm working on it.
You're doing great. You're doing great.
I'm not.
So just in case our viewers don't know, we're all volunteers here. And we're all queens, and we're going to figure this out. So just give us a couple minutes and we're going to switch gears. Not a big deal at all, Linda. You're doing great.
Can you guys see the presentation now?
Not yet.
Okay.
You want me to pull it up, Linda?
No, I think I got it.
Oh, there it is. Thank you.
Sorry for the delay. It went
No,
really well when we were
worry.
practicing, I promise.
You're doing great.
Okay. Yep. You are perfect.
Thanks, Linda.
Oh.
Atta girl.
You're welcome. There we go.
It's thinking, there we are. All right, this is just our title. It's not always what you've been told about how to write grant proposals. So I'm going to try to demythologize some things and emphasize some things that are perhaps underemphasized if you just did a Google search on how do I write a grant proposal. So let's see what we got here. Next slide, please. There you go. We're going to talk about these things. What I think is true, what I know for sure, and then the things that I've learned the hard way and that nobody else is going to tell you. So let's start with what I think is true. There we go. And that's the same thing. You can go to the next slide. That's the same thing as the lens through which I view this world, right? Because how you look and what you look at informs what you know. So I believe deep in my core that all healthy communities need all the things. We need the food pantries and the youth orchestras and the school teachers and the bike paths and all of it. And it doesn't take, a long memory to realize that even though we undervalue the arts in this country, if you flash back to hard lockdown on COVID, it was the arts that kept us sane. So I think we have an opportunity here to revalue the arts. So healthy communities need all these things. So there's a corollary to that. Next slide, please. And that's that competing with each other for a local source of money like this, while valuable and important, should not be the only thing you do. Because you're really competing with your neighbors. So yes, that's valuable, but it's also true that there are, well, I can tell you, there's 1.5 million philanthropic foundations in this country. Let me just say that again, 1.5 million. So you can get your ideas in the room with a grant proposal to other sponsors, is what we call them in grant world, funders, and then you're competing only with other food pantries or other youth symphonies or whatever, right? So I want you to diversify your grant portfolio for the health of your organization, but also for the health of the community. So that's sort of where I live in grant world, is making sure that people diversify, that organizations diversify their portfolios. Next slide, please. All right, this is the obvious stuff. Google will tell you this stuff, but I've got a spin on it. Let's see what happens. Next slide. All right, these things are true. They're absolutely true. You need to make sure you're eligible and well positioned for the competition. Now, eligibility is going to be taken care of as part of the letter of intent, the LOI, because you're going to have to certify all those things. But well positioned is a slightly different concept. Do you have the expertise? Do you have the staff? Do you have the time? Do you have the infrastructure? All of that. That's what well positioned means. You have to be prepared. You have to read the request for proposals, and you have to do what it says. Those are the same thing. I work with, PhD prepared faculty. They get really hung up on the do what it says part. So not so obedient, this crowd, but really I want you to do what it says, because grant reviewers are busy and overworked people, volunteer or not. And if they have and they always get more proposals than they can honestly do justice to, don't give them an excuse to throw your proposal in the trash because you weren't compliant. So absolutely read the RFP and absolutely do what it says. You're going to need SMART objectives. We're going to talk about those. I have a whole rant about objectives. Have someone review your work. This is really important. It saves you from the embarrassing typo. Oh my goodness. And it also saves you from the thing that we can do when we're sick to death of some of our own writing, right? And you've skipped a step because you think it's obvious, but a reviewer who's new to the work isn't going to understand how you got from point A to point B, right? So your most critical, most honest friend can read this, should read this, your proposal, I mean, and offer you her feedback. That would be awesome. You do need to lead with data. We're going to talk about that a lot. Please don't kill us with data, but definitely lead with it. And in this context in particular, but in all grant proposals, you need to be concise and clear. Whether you get a 35 or 40 page project description or a 250 word project description, whatever's true, you got to follow the rules, but you're going to learn to tighten up your prose, let me tell you, because it's never going to feel like enough. So those things are true. We're going to talk some more about them though. Next slide, please.
Oops, sorry.
That's okay. There we go. All right. So a SMART objective. Well, let's just talk about what an objective is. You have a mission. Perhaps it's to eliminate poverty. That's grand. Okay. You're not ever going to get there in your lifetime. From there, you have goals, right? Annual goals, strategic goals, comprehensive goals, whatever. You're going to need a project goal because clearly it is a grant requirement in this case that you have a discrete project that has a goal. The objectives are the stepping stones to getting that project goal done. In other worlds, we might call them deliverables. I actually hate that term, but you might see it in places. So those objectives, to be legit, to be helpful to your project, but also helpful to the grant reviewers, they must be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. See what we did there? SMART objectives. So those things, check each of your objectives. And in a 3-year grant, honestly, 3 to 5 objectives, 5 is too many, seriously. 3 would be solid. 3 decent objectives would be about what you're looking for. But I want to tell you that SMART objectives are necessary, but insufficient. And there's one, just to demonstrate it for you. Why don't you just read that, the one about infant mortality. Got it? All right. That is, in fact, a SMART objective. If I accomplish that SMART objective, I will have made infant mortality worse. And nobody's going to pay me to do that. So SMART objectives are good. They're essential, actually, but they have to be sophisticated. You have to indicate that you know the field in which you are operating, right? So, and I say this to students every day of my life. If you're going to measure change, you have to tell the reviewers the baseline. You have to know it, and you have to tell it. So, so just say that. And probably the baseline right now, I didn't actually look it up. Probably the baseline for infant mortality right now is 9 by 1,000 live births. I don't know that for sure, but 14 is way out of line. So let's move to the next slide. All right. Oh, no, you went too far, I think. There it is. Here's another SMART objective. I always, on January 1st, say that I'm going to lose 25 pounds by December 31st, and I will weigh, N minus 25. And yet, hello, did I do it? No. All right, objectives are good. SMART objectives are better. But you have to have a plan, a real plan. And that's why the committee is telling you, you've got a project plan, but you also have a timeline. You also have a budget. This is how you measure and reveal to the reviewers your plan. But more than that, and the reviewers may never see this, is you have to have a way down deep in the weeds plan. Like, because you're the expert, where your project is likely to go awry, where the whole thing could go south. And if you don't know that, you better find it out, because every project is vulnerable, and make a plan. If it goes this way, we're going to do that. If it goes this way, we're going to do that, right? You don't have to tell the grant reviewers all the details, but you need to know them. And standing in that expertise is part of what you need to do. So make those plans way down deep in the weeds, right? Way down in the details. What if we get too few people enrolled? What if we don't have food to give them? What if? Run all those scenarios for yourself. It's part of getting a good project plan. Okay, next slide. All right, your objectives should not rely on each other. This is important. If I say I'm going to get 45 participants in my project, I'm going to give them this, this, and this. I'm going to put them in 2 groups and measure that against this. But I only get 15 participants. Objectives 2 and 3 can't be met, right? So at the very least, set mutually exclusive objectives so that if one goes south, and it really could, because you're dealing with people and communities and trouble, probably. So things can go badly, absolutely. So you still could accomplish 2 of your objectives, right? You don't want to get set up that your entire grant fails because the first one went south. That's a hard thing to do, but I'm going to help you. But think about it for yourself as well. Next slide, please. Okay, data. And you're going to have a place to put all of that in either the LOI or the main application. I forget which section, but you're going to have to put that. Data drives your policy, data informs your decisions, and you're going to have to synthesize it in grant proposals. You don't have to put every single thing that happens to be true into your grant proposal. After a while, I live and breathe data, right? In my real life, I'm a quantitative researcher. I love data, but you can kill a reviewer when you put too much. You can get your needs assessment done in 2 to 3 paragraphs. I'm sure you can. Well, you're going to have to, given the space constraints. All right, so it's going to look like this. Say you want to you want to reduce food insecurity in Oakland County. All right, here's the problem in the US. What does food insecurity look like? here's the problem in Oakland County. Now, Oakland County could be better than the national average. In fact, it likely is. So what are you going to do about that? Right? So now you're going to explain, okay, yes, Oakland County looks better than the national average, but there are these subpopulations or sub-geographic regions within Oakland County where people are authentically struggling, right? I'm making this up, but something like this is going to, you're leading the reader to say, all right, we've got a problem. I'm not making this problem up. It exists here in Oakland County. It's particularly impacting a certain subset of the county. And here's what I'm going to do. Now, add your citations. This is important. I don't think that the reviewers are going to go dig them up, right? But I mean, I never do when I'm a reviewer, but I will notice things like if, that infant mortality statistic, SMART objective that I gave you, if the citation was from 1987, well, for heaven's sake, why? Right? That's information that's collected every single month. So, you should have more current data. So don't reveal yourself to be naive or unaware of the research that's out there. Next slide, please. Okay, so doing all those things right that Google will tell you to do, that's going to get you a compliant proposal. Let's get you a competitive proposal. Next slide, please. Excellent. All right, proposal development. You are always doing it. It sits, whether or not there's a call for proposals, by the way. It sits in this matrix, in this mush of ideas, program development, and administration. You are always doing all of that. And if you can use your grant proposal, the call for proposals that shows up on your desk one day as sort of the deadline to finish your program development and to concretize your ideas and turn them into something real, then it all becomes this cycle, right? So a 30-day turnaround to get a grant proposal out the door doesn't feel as terrifying because actually you've been working on it all the time, right? You should have been working on it probably a year ago. And you know what? I know you are, whether or not you named it as that. Next slide, please. Here you go. So the first thing that you're going to do when you start writing this is that you're going to indicate how your mission matches with the sponsor's stated mission. And it's more than putting your work in those buckets. That's important, but they've indicated why they want to fund in this area. What is motivating these women, these people to donate their own money to have this impact in the community? So don't parrot their language back to them. That's very tacky. But do describe how your mission aligns with theirs. Do not ever adjust your mission. Your mission is sacrosanct. If there's no mission match with this particular sponsor, whichever particular sponsor, right? Calm down. Go find another sponsor because I already told you there's 1.5 million of them. So you're not going to have any trouble. I say this every day. There is always another sponsor. So align your grant proposals with the sponsors whose mission most matches yours. Don't tweak with your mission. That's yours. All right. And then you have to say, why is yours the exact right agency to move this project forward? Here, I need you to take up your space on the intellectual planet. Now, I don't know who's in the room because I can't see all of you, but I got to tell you that it's women who don't do this. Claim it. It's yours. You are the experts. Why should they fund you? All right. Have you managed similar projects? Are your people particularly expert? Do you already have access to and relationships with the population you hope to serve? Right? There's no other way you're going to get a project done in 3 years if you don't already have access to the population. So claim what you know, claim what you have, claim why you're the right agency. That's really important. Next slide. Oh gosh. Okay. And if you're always doing all of that, then deadlines lose their power, right? Now, to make me write my own grant proposals, I send myself email to arrive in a week, to arrive in 2 weeks, to arrive in 3 weeks. And that's how I, with very small tasks for myself, like idiotically small, that make me track down a data point or something. And that's how I keep my grant proposals moving forward throughout the year. So you could do something like that if you wanted. Steal my idea. It works for me. Anyway, okay, next slide. All right, you're gonna also, my friends, have to make friends with failure. Hit rates are low. They're about 10% at least for federal grants. But that's not a huge problem, actually. This failed proposal could just be the rough draft for the next one. You could always ask for comments. You may not get them, but you should ask. And be honored that you got your ideas in the room with the people who make these decisions. That's an important thing. Give yourself credit for that. You should always ask, why did my grant proposal fail? And get as much information about that as you can. You can again ask your friends, would they have funded you? And why did my grant proposal succeed? It's another good question to ask. If it may not be that you were just brilliant, it may be that this was the low-hanging fruit you were going to get anyway. That's not bad. You needed that money. That success is, that's a win, but be careful about drawing premature conclusions if that's the case. Next slide, please. Okay, this is just do what you're told. And I think they have the proposals set up in the online portal so that you kind of have to do it right? So let's just skip this. This is fine. Okay, budgets. Oh my goodness, people, budgets. First of all, don't freak out. They just tell the same story as the narrative. So if travel is in the narrative, I want to see it in the budget. If equipment shows up in the budget, I need to know what you're using it for. And you should have told me in the project description. This is another opportunity to use data well. Don't pad your budget because that's gross and fraudulent on some level. But also don't, oh gosh, okay, I'm almost done. A too low budget is just as bad, just to be clear. Now, your budget needs to come in at exactly that number, $82,000, something like that. All right, so make sure your scope is big enough that it takes $82,000 and that it doesn't take more than that. So be careful. Yes, too small budgets. You don't look frugal, you look naive. So if you're only asking for a portion of the total cost, you need to indicate where the rest of it's coming from. Like I would put in letters. All right, and do this. Keep your grant proposal all about your passion and your energy and your love of the work. It's not a personal testimonial exactly, but it is part of standing in your expertise. You came to this work for a reason, and that should shine through your grant proposal. Stay true to your mission, always do it. Okay, next slide, and I think we're done. Oh, this is a pet peeve of mine. You can read this later, but this proposal seeks to, no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. You do. You can write grant proposals in the first person and arguably should. So again, that's part of claiming your expertise. Just do it. And the jargon thing, yikes. I would be honored to read your rough drafts if you want me to. I can't write the grant proposal for you. That would not be ethical. I'm not the expert. Hello, stand in your expertise. But I can be that critical person who says, nope, I didn't follow your line of reasoning here. This sounds like a fabulous project, but you lost me right here. Or what does this acronym mean? Or whatever. If you want me to do that, I think my contact information is on the next slide. I think that there it is. Okay. Now that was a whole semester of information in, 18 minutes.
Well done. Well done.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Dr.
Did I draw breath? I don't even know.
You did great. You did great. Thank you so much for that awesome information. I think it's great that you're willing to accept people to reach out to you. What an extra bonus.
Sure.
I'm so sorry about our tech difficulties earlier. I do want to touch on a couple of housekeeping points just to make sure everyone is well informed. This year, we recently cleaned up our database and our nonprofit outreach email list. What that means is we are focusing only on the email address listed on your website. For example, info@nameofnonprofit.com. If you have unsubscribed to our email list, please, with that email address, please go back to our website and click on Keep on the Loop. We are a volunteer-run organization, and it's really hard for us to deal with the bounce backs from constant contact. So again, please hit on stay in the loop on our website and resubscribe. And please know that we're not sending to personal people at nonprofits anymore. It is only info@nameofnonprofit.com. A quick recap: LOI is open, eligibility requirements, annual 250,000 budget, 3 years of financial, got to be a 501c3. We always encourage partnership nonprofits on projects. If you're too small of a nonprofit or you're not eligible, find a big one. Find a need in Oakland County, apply together. We really love that. No longer working in silos. You don't need to do anything after you submit your LOI. We will reach out to you through Submittable. You'll get those grant applications in. We have told you so many times that there are so many people that apply for our grants time and time again. If you don't make it, please reapply the following year. We have had so many nonprofits that have applied 2 or 3 times, and guess what? They're awarded. So please don't give up and hang in there. Again, please be familiar with the things that we do not fund. Okay, pay particular attention to that part of the presentation. We don't do general ask. Our grant review committee really likes specific projects that have a need in Oakland County, or we like to vote for programs that are currently up and running, but maybe they extend their services to a larger population in Oakland County. I want to take this time to thank you all. You are the boots on the ground doing the work. We are just cheerleaders cheering you on. At this time, I'd like to open it up for any questions that the group may have. We're going to open up our Q&A. You can see your Q&A at the bottom of the screen. And Linda and Catherine will kind of filter through that. Please also know that this is recorded, and we will send this recording to everyone in our database. We'll also try to circulate it through our website and our social media outlets. So please keep an eye out for that.
I'm not seeing any questions just yet, Angel.
Okay. No.
I have a thought while we wait. Can I?
Yeah, absolutely.
Can I say one more thing?
Absolutely.
You do have to write a sustainability plan for this.
Mhm.
Like, how will the project continue after the funding ends? Because you're going to have to wait before you can reapply. Wait 3 years before you can reapply, right?
Correct.
So the easiest way is to fully meet a local need with your project, right? So say it's a food pantry and you needed a bunch of freezers or refrigerators so that you could distribute fresh fruit and vegetables to people. I don't know, whatever. An $82,000 refrigerator would be quite the refrigerator, but whatever. So, you know, my project is to get a refrigerator. Refrigerator received, done, fully met. You don't need a sustainability plan because you fully met the local need. Now, if your need is bigger than that and you're not going to fully meet it, then you do need a sustainability plan. What I put there is a fundraising plan and a grant proposal writing plan. We can talk about that some more.
Great.
Okay.
I did want to mention that we do have a budget template on our Submittable platform, and you apply for the application.
Mm-hmm.
Please be sure to really focus on that template. That is something that our grant reviewers really tune in on, and only 15% can go to overhead for the project. So just wanted to share that with you all. It looks like we have our first question.
Hi, yeah, I'm having trouble getting the Q&A to open up. It looks like you disabled the chat, so maybe no one can access the Q&A, and that's why there are no questions.
Oh,
It's not actually the chat. There's an actual Q&A button.
Right, and that's not opening either.
We have one from someone that says, we are an education. Can we partner with the school district for the program? We have to be a 501c3. That's a great question. In order to be eligible for one of our grants, you have to be a registered 501c3 to apply, 3 years of financial and an annual budget of $250,000.
Do you want me to take the next one that Lexi asked?
Sure.
She's asking about if they have an email that is not necessarily info@nonprofit. Yes, we just need a general email. So it just can't be a personal email where it's Lexi at Hope Against Traffic, human trafficking, I'm sorry. It needs to be a general one. And the reason for that is that we were having some issues if people weren't continuing to work at nonprofits. So that's why this was put in place. So yes, a general email is how we should say it.
Great. Arts and culture is a big topic. Does Impact 100 have a preference for what types of projects may fit into this category? For example, art that the whole community can see versus art that we implement to help define the audience? That's a great question. Typically in our grant, every grant review committee and every vote is to the individual, correct? But, Impact 100, we go for a big impact. So I would think the more residents in Oakland County that you're able to have an impact with, probably the more favorable our members will view that. Again, every member gets a vote. That's what our membership fee goes towards. So we don't have a whole lot of control or foresight. But again, I typically in the past, big impact is something that we really are, we tend to vote for. Any other questions?
Uh,
There's a few more, Angel.
Okay.
yes, is there somewhere where we can access the outline of the grant template now to inform our project and LOI?
That's a great question. Thanks for asking that. The grant applications will be emailed to you once your eligibility and your LOI is approved. So unfortunately, I don't think that's a go. Linda, do you agree with that?
That is correct.
Okay, so sorry guys, submit the LOI and you will get the grant application. Does the focus area education only pertain to school age education, or can it also be for adult vocation? It pertains to education. And again, you guys don't forget that you have 3 categories that you can kind of classify your grant under. Education could be one. Maybe there's some components or some branches of your project that have an impact on health and wellness. Maybe you're teaching art. That it could be another category. So think big, don't think small. And please know that you'll have 3 categories that your grant will be filtered into, 1 of 3. The next question is, can you give some insight into expectations of an org that makes it to the site visit stage? Oh boy, I wish I could. Again, we are a volunteer ran nonprofit, Impact 100, and each year we have different women that sign up to be on the grant review committee. Each year we have new grants that are that we get applications for. So it's really up to that group. I really can't give you much insight or feedback on that because it really depends on each committee member and the group. But I think if you go back and you look through the outline, right, we only serve residents in Oakland County. We don't do general asks. We like grants that are project specific. We like grants that maybe you have an existing program, but you want to extend it to a second location in Oakland County, or you want to open it up for our grant recipients to have more of an impact. These are all things that, I'd really want you to hone in on, and please do pay attention to the budget template. That really tells us a lot. Yeah.
Angel, I wonder if they're asking what would entail, what does a site visit entail?
Oh,
That's what I was
sorry.
wondering.
Thanks for the input. That's really
I might be wrong. I'm just trying to.
Let's cover that too. Why not? Thank you for pointing that out. A site visit usually means that some of our committee members show up to your nonprofit organization. They maybe have a tour. We listen to the specifics of your project. We kind of do a meet and greet. The committee asks some questions and Q&A. And then we also have our financial review committee. These are the women in the committee that kind of really go through the nitty-gritty of the financial review. And that's kind of when we all meet at your house and kind of get to know each other and offer up a handshake, a meet and greet, Q&A. I hope that helps. Thanks for that, clarifying that. That was really helpful. Okay. If we have 2 programs that we think may be a good fit, can we submit 2 separate applications? Linda. I think it's only 1, but You guys are the grant review.
I don't believe we've ever had
I don't think we've
one
ever had-
organization apply for two different projects. Catherine, do you recall?
No, we have not had that.
I would recommend focusing on one application for one 501c3.
Yeah, I think I would too.
Yeah, okay. Good, great question.
Mhm.
Can you give examples of how other recipients demonstrated sustainability? Sure, I could take a whack at it, Catherine and Linda, if you want to chime in. Sometimes a greater sustainability plan is they have a private funder or donor in their back pocket, and they list that. Sometimes it could be a revenue producing nonprofit or a project that they're going after, or one and done, like Dr. Buford was saying. Any other ideas of sustainability? Linda, Catherine, that you guys remember seeing?
I think that,
Partnership
you know,
funding is always a good thing. Sorry.
Usually, I can't think of anything specific, but if a project achieves its goal through their grant, there needs to be some sort of measurability in your application. Like, how are you going to measure whether this is a success or not? And that kind of, then transforms into sustainability.
Mhm. Dr. Buford, do you have any words of wisdoms for how to kind of sink in the sustainability plan?
Yeah, for nonprofit grants, what we often do is smaller nonprofits, well, the bigger ones too, often have fundraising plans. If your board of directors has agreed that a certain amount of the fundraising revenue from your, annual gala or whatever, is going to go to fund this project, if it proves to be successful, then there you go, include that letter. Now you're gonna have to specify whether they're not willing to do that now, but that's because the money's committed now, right? They already did this year's budget. So that's thing one. I would also include a list, now that you've got your pilot data, as it were, you've preliminary evidence that this thing that you're doing works, and now you need $500,000 to ramp it up and really, have a huge impact, then show me the grants that you're going to apply for to fund that, right?
Mhm.
And there's lots of donor databases. You can do that.
That's great feedback. Thank you so much, Dr. Buford. Okay, we have another question. You provided 5 major categories and indicated that there will be 4 grant winners. Could you please clarify your comment about being rolled into 3 categories? Sure. Let me review the 5 categories. First of all, our whole goal of Impact100 of Oakland County is to fund all 5. You'll see us during recruitment season, we're hustling those memberships like crazy because we want to give a grant to all 5 of our categories. Currently, only 4 will be awarded because we only have enough money for 4 categories to receive a grant. Those 5 categories are education, health and wellness, arts and culture, environment, recreation and restoration, and arts and culture. With that, the 3 categories, you get to pick that. You get to pick when you have a project and you're applying for one of our grant, you get to pick, do you fall into education, health and wellness, arts and culture, environment, or health and wellness? So those are really clarified by you. I hope that answers the question.
Angel, I just want to add on that you put them in the order of how you think that it should apply to you. And then ultimately we do decide what kind of bucket to put you in, but we want your opinion and ideas on where you think your project falls.
I think there was one further up, you guys. What if we don't have a brick and mortar for the site visit?
Mm-hmm.
And the answer is that's totally fine. Well, the committee that you're working with will figure something out.
Mm-hmm. And Linda, did we answer the nonprofit partner with a for-profit? Did we answer all of it?
We did not answer that one. Can a nonprofit partner with a for-profit for a program?
Isn't that just, you have, in order to apply, you have to be an eligible 501c3, correct?
That's correct. You
Okay.
can partner with a for-profit program. Yes, that has happened. But your nonprofit has to stand alone and meet all the eligibility requirements.
Okay. Is that everyone? I think it is.
I
Okay,
think-
again, thank you so much. This recording will be sent
Oh,
out to all of,
Angel, I'm sorry, we did miss one. I'm so sorry.
no, that's
Does
good.
the annual budget requirement apply to the current year or the last 3 years? We're a growing nonprofit.
Sorry, I'm not seeing.
Linda, can you?
Yeah, it is the last 3 years. There could be an exception, and our financial review person would be able to answer that, but they're not on. But the financial review people would be able to determine if you meet the requirements, but they're pretty specific. So, and you will answer questions about that on the LOI.
So the $250,000
Application.
operating budget is for current year or past 3 years?
Past 3 years.
Perfect. Thanks, Linda.
Great. Thank you all again for joining us. We wish you the best of luck. If you don't make it, please try and try again. Again, we'll send you out this recording. Please follow us on our social media and our website. And thank you again for all the great work that you're doing in the community. We're rooting for you all. Thanks for joining us. Thank you. I'm so sorry. What a train wreck. Catherine,
What a